Welcome to Fuzzybutts and Friends. Well, Fuzzybutts and drives Fuzzybutts all over this place. Absolutely crazy when they hear me say it. I am the host of this show, your big dog, Luke Robinson, back again for Season 3, Episode 2. And look over there next to me, who's also back with us. It's Ginger Morgan. She's the Executive Director of the Puppy Up Foundation, and she's also the co-host and co-producer of this show. Hey, Ginger, how are you, other than cold right now?
Well, you beat me to it. You did that to me last week too. You pushed right over the whole thing. Cold, very cold. It's a I would say that it's a 3-dog night, but none of my dogs sleep with me anymore. So, but it could be like a 3 or 4-dog night. So I see all my Facebook memories of like last year and the year before last at this time, and I have like 3 or 4 dogs in the bed with me, but they don't sleep with me anymore. So,
well, it's one of those episodes, one of those occasions where the weather actually is relevant. I think most of the country is in this blanketed by this cold front right now. We've got Karen with us from Wisconsin. Look at her; she looks cold. I'll introduce you in a second. But Ginger, it's affecting walking Indiana and getting it was snow, now it's turned into ice, and it's just a mess out there. And Indy and I can't get out there and walk and heal each other. So we both have some training and some rehabbing to do together, but it's just darn cold. So yep. Well, on that note, speaking of the absolute cold, we're complaining down here in the Memphis area. But I'd like to go ahead and introduce our guest for this episode. It's Karen Eckert. She's with Karen's Canine Care LLC, and she also has a new venture. And I gotta make sure I get it. Well, I look at your shirt right there. Go ahead and show your shirt. Lift it up there.
Dog to me.
Talk dog to me. I love it, Karen. I love it because I constantly, if you're talking in some other language like potato to me, I'm probably not listening, but when you start talking dog to me, that's when my ears perk up and I start paying attention. Well, Karen, welcome to Fuzzybutts and Friends.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I'm all about the animals, so this is a cool venture. So thank you.
Yes. Now, what to tell us? Because I got where you're based out of totally wrong. So where are you out of now?
So I am actually out of Holman, Wisconsin, which is on the Mississippi side of the state, so the west side of the state. I actually started pet sitting about 12 years ago, almost 13 years now. Yeah. So I've been doing that and taking care of animals, and we know in this cold weather, you know how that is. We got to make sure they're safe and good.
That we do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, especially the ones that are outside in the cold right now. That's wonderful work that you do. Well, tell us before we start, since this is Fuzzybutts and Friends, and Ginger and I rarely seem to have any Fuzzybutts with us for the show. Tell us about your Fuzzybutts, Karen. How many do you have in your household?
Well, I do not have any right now because I take care of everybody else's animals. So I go into their homes and I take care of their pets while they go on vacation and have fun. And so I always have to make sure they're good and safe. And that's what I do.
Well, Ginger, she also has that 0 dog nights up there, up in the cold in Wisconsin. That must be tough. Because I don't think I've ever been to Wisconsin in the wintertime, but certainly in well, I guess maybe the late. Yeah, I have been there in the wintertime. I know what it's like. But are you in the western? Are you west of Madison then? I'm not.
Yes. Yeah. Actually, outside of La Crosse. So if you can picture where La Crosse is, I'm not too far from La Crosse, Wisconsin.
Excellent. Well, as I was alluding to there earlier before we started recording, Walk 4 with my Indiana Jones. We got to get back on the road and log some miles together. He's getting old and he doesn't like he doesn't like the cold either. So we're planning a little walk from Chicago all the way through Milwaukee and to Madison. So I hope we can see you out.
Oh, yeah. You have to let me know when that is. That'd be great.
Well, I don't know because I'm rehabbing a broken foot and Indy's rehabbing. Well, he's just rehabbing, I think, nonstop because he's got some peripheral neuropathy. So we should have a date here probably within a month or two, have a good idea of when we'll be up there, but it will be this year for sure.
Okay, great. That's good. Good.
All right. Well, it's tough to hear. I think maybe you're the first guest, maybe the second guest that doesn't have any Fuzzybutts, but I get it. You take care of everyone else's, and that's wonderful that you do that, especially this time of year. Because we have lots of people that travel and travel this time, and so they need people like you. to make sure they're
Yes.
fuzzy butts. So tell us,
Yes.
since your main business is Karen's Karen's Canine Care, Pet Care LLC, tell us about that. You said you've been in business 12 or so years.
Yep.
What exactly do you do there in Wisconsin?
So, besides doing that, I started my Talk Dog to Me line, which what I wanted to do was create something that I could give back. So the Talk Dog to Me logo and the business came about was, people talk about their dogs. So this was a conversation starter to get people talking about their dogs. Well, when I started pet sitting like 12 years ago or so, I was pet sitting for a woman who was bringing in all these Bichons. And I didn't understand what was going on. Well, she was actually buying them from these puppy mills in Iowa, Missouri. She'd bring them back to her home, vet them, take care of them, groom them and everything, and rehome them. So she would, find not foster family. She would find forever homes for these animals. And sitting with these animals and seeing their behaviors and the fear and just so many different behavior problems, I always knew I wanted to do something more. There was something we needed to do. And the unfortunate part is, and I'm sure it's not only in Wisconsin, but in many states, it's really hard to pass any laws when it comes to animals, even domesticated animals. So I knew someday I would do something. I volunteer, I talk to people. And within the last 5 years or so, I started talking to a group called Bailing Out Benji. And Bailing Out Benji is a group that would like to see all puppy mills, be gone. And so would I. So when I started the Talk Dog to Me line, I decided that a percentage of my sales will go to them. And this way we can get out there with our educational materials and educate the public on the horrors of puppy mills. That's the way I can say it, because I've seen so many animals come from there. And so I don't understand it, but I want to end it. And so my new business, the Talk Dog to Me, is all about that. So I go to every vendor event I can find in the state of Wisconsin, and I have brochures and literature and bracelets and pens, and I have a state map of Wisconsin, and it has where all these puppy mills are throughout the state, where all these pet stores are that sell these puppy mills in our state that we are trying to stop. And the way we're stopping this is we do peaceful protests outside some of the pet stores. We also are trying to get ordinances in cities, towns, villages to put an end to that as well. So these stores will not be selling puppies from puppy mills, and that will stop the commercial breeding of this whole thing. But it's really sad because in Wisconsin, there's at least 13 stores that are still selling puppies from puppy mills. And they import around 2,000 unaltered dogs from the Midwest states each year. So they bring them in from Iowa, Missouri, and Oklahoma. And it's just unimaginable what these animals have to go through. Petland is one of the worst. They're still the only national pet store in the whole country that still sells puppies to pet stores. So the whole focus is to end pet stores from selling puppies. There are a few states like Illinois absolutely put a ban on pet stores selling puppy mills. But you can sell. What the thing is people think that you are going to put them out of business. You're not going to put them out of business. You can take rescues from, any rescue you see in the state, any shelter. There's massive amounts of dogs, or cats, anyone, they all need homes. So my passion is to stop this. And so this is my main focus now, is to stop this.
That's a huge Herculean task. I'm sure as you've experienced and as you know, Let's start. So there are 13 puppy mills in Wisconsin, or there are 13 retail outlets that sell puppy mill dogs.
Yeah, there are at least 13 puppy selling pet stores in Wisconsin. So those 13 stores, they go to all these breeders. So like I said, there's Iowa, Missouri, when I get over Indiana, Kansas, Minnesota, Oklahoma. And these states, including Wisconsin, are well known for having problematic USDA facilities and puppy mills operating within them. So it's like this vicious, like you can't stop it. So the only way to stop it is by putting these ordinances in these cities and towns and villages to say, okay, you store over here, we're putting an ordinance in, you cannot sell any puppies from commercial bred puppy mills. And that's it. And then it'll be done. But the thing is that people fight this all the time. They think you're going to take away their business and their jobs and things like that. And it's not like that. And I don't know how to get to people besides getting out there constantly and just giving them the information, showing them the brochures and explaining to them what a puppy mill is. And there's an estimated 10,000 puppy mills in this country. 10,000.
Wow.
That's horrific to me.
Yeah.
And over 200,000 adult dogs are trapped in puppy mills across this country. And there isn't any other reason that I can think of to have a commercial bred puppy mill except for money. That is the only reason. Because
you're not going to start. I'm sorry, please.
No, go ahead.
Well, it is a challenging task because it's a supply and demand issue, right? You're never going to take away demand for Bichon Frises. Did I get that right, Ginger? Another breed.
Close enough, I think. Bichon works. Bichon works.
Bichon works, yeah.
Bichons, sorry about that. To Frenchies. I know Frenchies, Pyrenees, you're obviously never going to remove the consumer demand where you're going to have children in a household that they see a Disney animated Pixar movie, whatever, and there's a golden retriever and everyone loves goldens and they need a golden. And so it seems like the system error is, how do you get someone the demand to the right place? And the right place would be a shelter to adopt, correct?
Correct. And there are golden retriever rescues. So there are every rescue you can think of, there is a group, and they do have rescues. So, and they may not be puppies, they may be older. They may need, help with getting older, things like that. But it just gets me that trying to explain to people over and over again the brutality really of these puppy mills. The majority of them, they're not vetted at all. There are so many problems with them. Like the cages are what's the 6 inches. So you can fit up to, and dogs are bigger than 6 inches. So that's the standard cage size. It must be 6 inches larger than the size of a dog at all times. That's not big at all. Dogs,
they don't get adequate medical care that's for sure.
They don't get adequate medical care. They never have to be let out of cages. The breeders only need to have an exercise plan. They don't have to do the plan. There's no limit to the number of dogs a breeder can have. Many have over 1,000. There's many here in Wisconsin that have like one rescue, one puppy mill that I know of has 132 breeding females. What?
Oh my gosh.
That? Like, I can't even fathom that. I think it's just so much in my mind that it's hard to talk about for me. Sometimes I get really frustrated because I just don't understand it.
Well,
Um,
yes, no, Ginger and I, Ginger has more of an understanding than I do because she has a background in rescue and shelters, animal shelters. But we've had a number of rescuers and rescue groups on this program on Fuzzy Butts and Friends who have talked about the conditions of some of the mills and actually have had some of the Fuzzy Butts from the mills they actually rescued. And one had 0 teeth. It was a breeding mom. She had
yeah.
no teeth because the teeth had just rotted out. There was no dental care. They were given whatever crappy treats. There's no nutritional assessment, no health care. So you're certainly speaking to the choir with me and Ginger. We certainly understand the deplorable and heartbreaking conditions at some of these puppy mills, at all the puppy mills. I would imagine, but see, that's always been sort of my argument in this is that whenever you give a corporation, and the bigger the corporation, the more this is true, because you have a separation of responsibility. You have when you add a board and you add a bunch of people and bylaws and all this, then there's that separation of liability and responsibility from it. So whenever you give a profit incentive, and that profit is based on the life or health of another being, another animal, or human, then there's an inherent conflict of interest, right? Because you want, as a company, as a business, you want to push profits, right? You want to maximize profits and you want to scale to expand your operation. But that's very difficult to do unless you are seriously cut costs or find a way to scale. But when you're talking about the healthcare and life and livelihood and happiness of a companion animal, there's no way to cut, there's no way to make cost cuts. So it is an economically implausible, infeasible model. And so my argument has always been force them to force, if there are pet stores or if there are operators that have what we would consider good motives in getting healthy, proper, non-puppy mill companion animals to families, then compel them to become nonprofits, and that takes away, I would imagine, some of the layer of the profit motive. Here's another idea, and I always like to solve problems. I'm the kind of person who I wake up and I see a million problems. I see problems in the system everywhere. And so the only way I remain sane, and I'm sure this is true with you, is just try to focus on solutions. And another idea is, have you talked to the 13 puppy mills that you're talking about and saying, look, we're going to continue to give you regulatory and legal problems because of your operation. So let's sit down and propose a solution. Let's work on a solution. You can sell, snakes, reptiles, whatever that are deemed to be, pet friendly, adoption friendly companion animals that don't have the degree or quality of care, whether that's fish or reptiles, whatever the standard is. But if it's dogs and cats, you're just not going to be able to sell them in retail. So what we'll do is if you have a store in a particular area, you can partner with the local animal shelter, and then you have the retail outlet to manage adoptions, and there's a revenue share idea. So the shelter, the local pet shelter that partners with the puppy mill that doesn't sell cats and dogs anymore, they're in the business of adopting local shelter cats and dogs out, and the profit motive for them is they don't have to do any of the care of the animals. They don't have to do anything else. It's just they're the point of sale or point of adoption of that animal, and they get whatever additional revenues. Have you guys explored that as a possibility with them?
Well, yes, and Bailing Out Benji is on the forefront of all this, along with the Humane Society of the United States. So they're all working on this, but the problem is you need to change laws in every individual state, like through the USDA or through the DATCP, whatever that is as well, that regulates. But I think it's mostly to get more laws passed into the Animal Welfare Act. I think because there's really not a lot for domesticated animals in there. I don't think Wisconsin has passed like for breeding, like since the last time any laws passed was like 2011, from that I can remember. I could be wrong, but that's all I can remember. But what I want to do is have people contact their legislatures and express their concerns about this and express what can be done, because some of these pet stores, and I'll tell you, I protested outside one in particular, you would never even know it was there. I don't even know how they advertise, to be honest with you. They have a puppy mill like 2 hours away from the pet store. So, and when you go in this store, it's just cages. So to me, that's not a pet store. That
Wow.
is another breeding facility that you're bringing from one to this one. And this store is next to the center of the deaf. So it's people that either work there or come there that probably do not even hear these poor animals. And they're just in cages because we had undercover cameras in there. So we know all this, but it's getting legislatures to listen, to get it on the floor, to do something, to pass these inhumane laws that we need passed. Because this Animal Welfare Act is just like the bare minimum that goes on here, especially in the state of Wisconsin. It's not good. And so all we can do is keep working and keep educating people and keep getting the word out, and letting people know, please rescue and adopt from what I try to say to people is rescues work 24/7 for $0. Okay, 365 days a year. These puppy mills, they'll meet you in a parking lot, they'll sell you whatever. It could be a sick dog. You could go to a pet store. They finance these animals as well. They finance puppies. And some of these dogs, they charge $1,400, $1,100. I've seen all different prices. I had somebody buy that told me they spent $7,000 for a French bulldog in the state. I can't even fathom that. I can't. And so to me, some of these are not just breeders. They're like backyard breeders. So they're ones that just do it, and they don't have any exercise facilities, and they get rid of them. So what I do, and I make complaints all the time, and I want to put this out there. I do contact the USDA. I do contact, they're open, every day, Monday through Friday. There is a complaint form right online about any abuse for animals. We need to make this known. Get people on there, anything. And I say, if you see something, say something, do something for these poor animals. We need to do something, and it takes everyone. It's not just going to take Bailing Out Benji and our group of volunteers, but I'll tell you, we're making a good headway. There's volunteers in every state, but the problem is there's so many commercial bred puppy mills, like I said, 10,000.
Are there any federal laws on the books at all? Because I do know a fair amount about this, and it seems like everything is based on state regulations, state laws, and then state
Yes.
enforcement. Because you can have regulations that stop or prevent anything, and those are only as good as the enforcers out in the field enforcing them. And I know with the FDA, when it comes to pet food, they don't do such a good job because they don't have a lot of agents out in the field enforcing the laws that they have on the books. The USDA is the opposite of that. I hear they're in a the FDA is a big beast. They cover a lot of territory.
Right.
That's one of the
Right.
problems. Whereas the USDA is a bit more focused. So, are there any federal laws against puppy mills, against this mass breeding at all? Do you know?
No. And unfortunately, their inspections from the USDA are risk-based. They consider it, meaning that facilities that meet a certain criteria, whatever that means, we don't know what that means. They're inspected, like very seldom, like 2 to 3 years. So what could happen in those 2 to 3 years? How many animals have died? How many were sick and were killed? I mean, there's really no standards. There's really no standards. You can have 12, the USDA standards it's up to 12 dogs can be housed in one cage. That's a USDA standard. How can that be?
Does it say how big the cage has to be for 12 dogs to be in it?
The cage size must be 6 inches larger than the size of the dog on all sides. But if you're saying one dog, but then you could put 12 in there,
That's
you know,
insane.
and then there is no limit to the number that dogs a breeder can have. Many have over 1,000, like I said earlier. A dog breeding limit can be set at the state level. And there's only a few states, Washington, Oregon, Virginia, and Louisiana. And there is no age limit for breeding dogs. So as long as a dog can produce, they'll keep making them breed, which is sad to me on so many levels. And then when they're done with them, I know what they do. They either call a rescue that they know and say, hey, either you come get the dog or we'll do away with the dog. That's, to me, the insanity part of it, is that they're used up, they're done, and they get rid of them. Their money's gone, and that was their money. That was their money right there. And it's unbelievable. And so far, I know Bailing Out Benji has connected 75% of the nation's puppy selling pet stores to the facilities they buy from. So they are getting all these connections from all the pet mills, from all these states, and connecting them. And what Wisconsin is working on right now are maps to show, like, what I'm hoping, they're just working on it right now, so I'm not really exactly sure how exactly it's going to be. But what I'm hoping for is that every dot on the map will show and print out, or when you can do it, like, when you're on the computer and you'll be able to tap on the dot, that it will state the pet store, and again, where they get their puppies from, how many, and so on and so forth. And the thing is, if we could get the word out, like, my idea is to try to get commercials. I know commercials work. We know the commercials from the ASPCA. I don't even look at them. I turn it off. I know I do. But I think if we get some educational commercials to the public to inform them of what is actually going on. I don't really think a lot of people understand.
They don't.
How they
Not at
don't
all.
really understand. When their kid says, I want a puppy, I want a puppy. That's it. They go run and get a puppy. And they don't even, wherever they're getting it from, they don't even realize. So for me, my whole thing is, I always hope that parents, when you have children or you're raising kids, please raise them to respect and love these animals, and so that they will grow up and we will change this whole dynamic of these horrible puppy mills, and have all these next generations loving the animals and knowing what the love they give us, not only for us personally, but for sightseeing dogs, or for, dogs that help with seizures. And they help us with our cardio health, for exercising and all the wonderful things they do for us. It's like, let's put this all aside, all these buying these puppies, from these horrible people, and let's start rescuing them all, from pet stores, from pet stores, from rescues, and people that really love them and vet them and care for them and take the time, because this is just, it's just too much. It's crazy.
It's a big problem. It's a big problem. I didn't mean to interrupt you. If you go, please go ahead.
No, I was saying, my thing, like I was saying about children, is, caring for an animal can help children grow up to be more active, and like they're what's the word I'm trying to say? They're more responsible. They have a responsibility, to saying, hey, you know what, like when you're walking down the street, who's the first thing you see? You say, I say hi to the dog. Okay. I don't say hi to the people. I say hi to the dog, but when I see kids walking dogs, they get excited and they're like, hey, this is so-and-so. And then you get excited and you start talking, and you can tell the difference of somebody who's walking there, and then somebody who's excited and their parents have taught them, hey, and they love this animal from day one, whether it's a dog, cat, rabbit, whatever,
Yeah, my travels, I've certainly found that to be the case. I find I've stayed with, I've traveled and met hundreds, thousands of people along my travels. And even before I became the big dog, your big dog, and lost Malcolm and began my own journey into the world of companion animals, I always found that kids, people that were raised for love and respect and for animals, that trickle down or translated into their dealings with people as well. I found them to be better balanced. Interestingly enough, I find that dog owners that have children, I find them to be a much better family as well. So it's so interesting. Our foundation, we focus on companion cancer, one cancer, and we talk about how dogs are a good model scientifically for understanding cancer in people. But what I don't talk enough about is how dogs are a much more important model for humanity itself. So you're speaking to the choir here. I know our audience, everyone's shaking their head, saying hallelujah. But it's a like you said, it's a very tough it's a very tough because you have big corporations that are paying politicians, they're paying taxes, and they're paying a lot of money that nonprofits are, at least not on that scale. And you're going up against a an old, outdated machine that's existed for a long time. But federal laws seem like that's the first best step, is that there has to be some level or layer of federal laws that have the problem with that. And I know the argument, we've had a couple of people on our show discuss it, is that once you grant protection to companion animals, agency is not that difficult of a logical leap. You're going to have some animal rights organizations like PETA that come around and say, well, we should go ahead and give them and grant them rights. Ginger and I were just talking this the other day. I'm not sure you'd ever want to grant Pyrenees agency because you'd never make up their mind. They're so stubborn.
Yeah.
We did. We had Indiana, a chiropractor, Dr. Parker, come over and adjust Indiana. And I swear, if I could sit down for hours and talk to Indiana how getting an adjustment and alignment would be good for him, but one crack and stuff in that pain, he's like, hell no, I'm going to report you to the ASPCA or whatever. Right. So I'm being funny. I'm being funny, as I often do when the issue at hand is extremely complex, and it is. And I'm always on the side of we have to protect those that can't protect themselves. That just has to be the children, geriatric people, disabled people, challenged people, whatever, who's ever in that category, is that they have to be granted some fundamental rights and protections at the federal level. And Ginger, before I forget it, we need to get Bailing Out Benji. I know that organization. I may be following them, or they may be following me on Twitter. I have a big following on Twitter of all these wonderful national, international organizations. I DM them every once in a while, say, "Hey, I'd like to get you on my show," but Twitter is a weird thing, and it's tough. But Ginger, we need to get, because I want to find out exactly how big this problem is, and find out some of those clusters and how we can get those clusters out. Because again,
I'd love to have you have Mindy on there. She's the executive director of Bailing Out Benji, and she can tell you her story, but that's how she started, was adopting a puppy mill dog in Iowa. So she would be great to be on your show.
Yes, we'd love to. We had the folks with the Beagle Freedom Project on, and they deal with a similar problem on an international level, and they deal with the horrors of the international meat trade, which I didn't know about, and also scientific experimentation, and that's just horrible. They have had some success. Ginger, have you talked to? I can't recall her name, but I think Ginger, they've had a lot of success at the state level with changing laws. But I don't know. I can't recall if they've done anything at the federal level. But so if they've done something on the federal level, Karen, you and Minty should collaborate with them and see how maybe you could tap into those laws and using those as the foundation for additional laws against puppy mills. Because you're one person, Mindy's one person, the Beagle Freedom Project is just one organization. We're all, like you said, none of us, we don't all not get paid, but none of us are, I never get paid for anything I do with dogs. And so, there are a lot of us out there. And so we don't have the economic or financial resources to mount a large campaign. So the only way to really get the federal government or whichever federal agency to pay attention is numbers, right? Just get as many organizations binding together, partnering together, and say, at a minimum, we have to have these laws that are enacted. These are basic fundamental laws. And And that's the only way. I remember my first walk, I didn't know a whole lot about how that whole process worked. But on my first walk, to educate and bring awareness to cancer in companion animals and on our canine companions, we stopped we walked through DC, and I went to the Capitol building and I met with the Congressman Cohen. Oh wow. Well, I won't get into that, but anyway, he's just a politician. And I sat down and talked to him, and he said, "Look, it sounds like everything you're saying is great. There's cancer in dogs, and it's the same type of cancer that people get, and we really need to invest more in cancer studies for comparative oncology." It makes sense. You could make every argument, scientific, humane argument, all the arguments check the boxes. But he looked at me and said, "I'll go get a celebrity spokesperson and go get a couple other things, and we'll see if we can help you out." And that money to donate, of course, money to contribute to his campaign and make it. But that's how they operate. Politicians won't do anything unless their pockets are lined. They're incentivized by money. And so what happens, as you know, is you have wonderful organizations like Puppy Up Foundation, pardon me, all of the independent foundations, nonprofits that are working on one cancer, companion cancer, comparative oncology. We're all small organizations, just like all the shelters. The only exception are the ASPCA and maybe one or two other nationwide international organizations that have the lion's share of the funds, the assets, and the resources. So it's just got to be a numbers thing. And I know that we're all stretched thin. We could use 1,000 times the amount of resources in companion cancer right now, and it's still not enough. So I would imagine the same is true with you. So we would love to help you in whatever. We'll get Mindy on with a Bailing Out Benji on the show. We'll see whatever we can do. But it is a tremendous task. But starting at the federal level is something that's important, because I know with the USDA, and I don't even know if this would be under the USDA, but they have the enforcement capabilities that
they do, and they do here, but they don't. Like I said, they only go by risk-based, whatever that means. That's a wide range of whatever you want to say, risk-based. To inspect anyone. And there are some places that don't get inspect, and you don't know what goes on. So there has to be some kind of clarity. My idea, I mean, we all have ideas. You have ideas, Ginger. We all have ideas of what we could do. We have 72 counties in Wisconsin. My ideal idea would be to at least have 2 humane officers in every county in this state that could go to calls. That would offer jobs, you know what I mean? And it would help. But again, we can't get to the floor. If you can't get to the floor in your own legislature, in your own capital, I understand what you're saying about federal. Maybe it could be a combined effort of all the nonprofits to finally get all these signatures for cancer, for domesticated animals, for everything, to put some package together. Every animal, just like every human, has feelings. I don't care what animal it is. We know from having companion dogs, they love us unconditionally. When they're talking to you, how they look at you, how when they lose one of their other canine partners, how they are. They grieve just like we grieve. So we all know all this already. So it's just, like you said, we somehow getting all together, combining our efforts, because like you said, it's like money. If you don't have money, and if you don't have celebrities to make a commercial for you, it's like $20,000 a commercial. I looked into it. It's like, wow.
We know it's the Puppy Up Foundation. We tried, but we tried pretty much I still try everything I can do to get the message. Hey, cancer, there are 6 million new cases of cancer in dogs every year, for Christ's sakes. It's a big problem. And the thing is, those are all cases from which we can learn about cancer as a disease that affects all species, or it's cross species. But so we looked into that, and you could have a commercial ad budget of $1 million or $10 million or maybe even $50 million a year. And I don't believe that you can still get to the nut of the demand problem. They're just, it's something that I've learned, that as a society, we've progressively gotten better with how we value companion animals in society, right? We've made a lot of, I come from Texas, and I can assure you 20, 30, 40 years ago, animals, for the most part, companion animals were still treated as chattel or property. Even though they weren't. They're not farm implements. They're companions. They're household companions. But that, as you know, societal progress is so slow, and it takes 25 years for the next generation to become adults. So it's like do we wait 25 years? So that's why, for me, it seems like addressing it at the federal level, because if you can pass the basic laws, then and have a federal budget, then the federal government has the money, and the federal government can go to the state of Wisconsin and say, we're going to give you X amount of dollars out of our federal budget to do the enforcement aspect of it. And so then you'll find, because I mean, as you know, every state government is taxed to some a lot worse than others, but they have priorities, and those priorities are based on budgeting and funding. So it sounds like that's a great idea, Ginger. Let's see if we can get the Beagle Freedom folks, because they've been through this Herculean task, this Kafkaesque nightmare of, like you were saying, I can't even get on the floor to bring the issue or the topic to the attention of the legislators. So it's tough. We'd love to help you out in anything you can. So tell us about, I didn't want to make this all about really just a horrible, but it is important to talk about. Please go ahead.
I do want to mention, for people who are going into those pet stores that truly are only selling puppies. There's one here in Memphis that opened up maybe last year and a half ago, and it opens up. They opened up close to a business that I go to. So I went in just to see what was going on, and let me tell you, their stories. They have their story. Everything, actually, for that particular place, everything was immaculate. It was like they wanted to make sure those exactly, and that's what I'm saying is that well, there was some here in Memphis a long time ago. They were not. They were not. Like, they just had the puppies out there, and you could just touch any puppy. And in this particular place that I went to, you couldn't get the puppy unless they really thought you were going to buy it. You had to, like, pretty much gown up and this whole thing. And so it looks really, really legit. And when I started asking them, like, where do your puppies come from? Oh, from reputable breeders in Texas. I'm like, oh, a puppy mill. They were like, oh no, they're reputable breeders. So don't be fooled by the appearances and the stories behind it. It's not, those puppies didn't come from, I don't know where. They came from a puppy mill. Right. I mean, it's,
and that's
I will say they had a really cute dachshund in there, but I walked out.
But see, the thing is, they could finance this puppy to, let's say you would buy this dachshund, right?
Yeah.
And you would pay the exuberant amount of 315% finance charge on this $1,400. You could get that dog home, and that dog would be very sick. You don't know. Yep. Because you have no idea. And then, so what happens? You owe this. You're already financing this poor dog from a puppy mill for $1,400. Then you get this poor animal home, and he's deathly sick, and he dies. You have no recourse.
Wait a second. You could finance the ownership of dogs? You could finance that?
It's a transaction. So yeah.
Yes.
But wait, I understand it's a transaction, and there are all these little micro lenders now that facilitate those transactions. So what I want to know is, does the puppy mill itself, let's call these retail stores the actual puppy mill, the retail store actually does the financing in-house itself?
Yes. So and they charge you, it's like 315% finance charge. So these young couples will come in, like I said, I witnessed it with this little kid that wants this puppy, and they walked out, and I just started crying. And I'm trying to stay strong, because I'm mad, and I'm upset, because I know this young family probably doesn't have $1,400. And now if you take that puppy home and that poor dog is sick and dies, they're not only out of that $1,400, but this poor life is lost now too.
Yeah.
And
Sorry.
And the heartache that their child is going through.
yes,
Right.
yes.
Or
And
in
it's
the entire
vicious-
family, but especially for the child. And even, you know, if they take the dog to the vet, you know what? It's going to be a $1,400 bill at the vet's office because the dog probably has distemper or parvo or, you know, whatever puppies, all those things that puppies
Right,
get.
because they're crammed in these cages, like the dogs I've watched, their paws are out this way. They're like that for life because that's all they knew. And
Right.
the pet store I'm telling you about, there is nothing there. They're peeing right on top of each other. You know what I mean? It's just unbelievable. And
Well,
I just don't understand.
well, I think what Ginger raised a salient point is to go into these retail stores that it's really the retail aspect, the public aspect to these criminal operations, these deplorable criminal operations, but the retail front, the public front has to be immaculate, has to be be able to endure inspections. And I would imagine they have to have the story straight, they have to have documentation. So if these are nationwide corporations that are running these retail outlets, my guess is it would be very difficult to get and the enforcers, law enforcers, to be able to even serve warrants to them to be able to do investigations because these corporations probably have tons of attorneys. They know the laws, all the state laws. They know what they have to show the public. They know what they have to show to look legit. But behind the scenes, we know it's a criminal organization. So that makes it even more difficult. Have you considered, again, following this brainstorming strategy? My mind is solution oriented. Have you ever then thought about going after them based on usury laws? Because you can't charge 350% financing a dog. And I think that the whole concept of financing a living being is horrific. Because you're right. I mean, think about that's so many nightmare scenarios can occur when you go in and say, "Oh, I can't afford this $7,000 dachshund, and so let's finance it." And over 5 years, that's insane. Because more importantly, it also causes the parents, even if the dog is healthy, but the parents' economic realities, like we've been living this nightmare economy the last several years, it gets even worse. Now they can't afford the finance. So does a finance company come back and take the dog away from the family? Or more importantly, does a family feel like, now, hell, what do I do? So the family tries to, insure the dog and then kill the I have a very dark mind because I've seen the darkness of human
No, it's
nature
true.
before.
You are correct because we
Wow.
have the laws in the state too is for hunting with hounds. If these criminal hunters who are so-called hunters in the state hunt with dogs and their dog gets killed, they get $2,500 per dog that dies. Tell me that's not an incentive. I know we're going off topic, but this is another sick thing that the state allows. That's the DNR. So you got all these agencies that are involved. And that's where I think the big problem is. You have the USDA, you have the DNR, and you have all these big agencies involved. How do you do this? How do you compact them to doing something? That's, I think, where our whole problem is with domesticated animals and doing this with the puppy mills. And they're coming from all across the states. They're coming from Missouri, they're coming from Iowa, they're coming from Oklahoma. But the good thing is Bailing Out Benji is amazing that they can tell you where these pet stores are getting their puppy mills from. They know facts, they have facts, figures, everything. So the thing is, they have all that, in a database. So they have the records, they have the proof. We need to now shut them down. And that's the whole goal of Bailing Out Benji. That's a whole goal of my Talk Dog to Me line of, I have all apparel, I have dog shirts, I have a dog toy. Everything that I sell that's of my Talk Dog to Me brand, percentage goes to Bailing Out Benji once a year. This is my second year of doing it. And I'm very proud to say that I will continue to do this until I'm dead or until these puppy mills are completely gone. Because this is my passion. This is it.
Cheers to that. Thank you so much for that. Let's hope they don't take you out. Big puppy mill doesn't take you out in the process. Well, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about this wonderful brand, Talk Dog to Me. Ginger's got a step, or I thought you were stepping away to help.
Oh, there she is.
So talk to
Yeah.
us. You've been doing it for 2 years. Where could people find your wonderful merchandise? Let's sell some of your merchandise.
Okay, well, I have a website and it's at talkdogtome.com, and people can go to my website and make a purchase. I have for anything from sweatshirts, joggers, t-shirts, long sleeve shirts, dog toy. I'm adding all the time. It just takes time, and of course,
You got some
money.
beanies
So
on there. I saw a beanie I'm gonna get.
I got beanies, yes, we got hats, yes, we got a baseball hat. So there's a whole array. So like I said, I do a lot of events. People can follow my event page on talkdogtome.com to see where I'm going to be at next. I do a lot of events in Wisconsin. I like to do a lot of pet rescue events so I can benefit them as well. I'm always at the Great Lakes Pet Expo, which is now Pet Expo Milwaukee, MKE, I mean. So I do a lot, and I've met a lot of great people, and I call them my dog people, because we're all out to do something really good for the animals, and that makes a big difference to me. So I'm excited.
So Karen, we're both going to be at the Milwaukee Pet Expo. So remind me, because when we did Puppy Up back last year in May, I meant to get some of your merchandise. And by the time I got over there, it was all packed
yeah.
out. And the same thing happened to me at the Pet Expo last year in Milwaukee. So
Yes.
this year I'm going to come and get it while you're
Okay.
setting it up.
Yes, and
And
I'm
then-
also a volunteer for Puppy Up. So
Yes, you are.
Thank you for that. I was going to mention
Yes.
it's on my list of things to mention. Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, I beat you to it, Luke, but yes, I get the vendors and sponsors together. So I try my best to get people to come and enjoy this wonderful event for raising cancer for canines. And it is fun. And we got the Slobber Saloon, which is fun. It'll be in Madison,
Yes.
Wisconsin, May 5th. Mark your calendars.
Yep.
So
I
I'm
cannot
excited
wait
about that.
for that costume contest.
Oh yeah,
on
it's Cinco
Cinco
de
de
Mayo
Mayo.
Day.
Yep.
Yes.
That's right.
So
Cinco de Mayo. That's right.
Yep. And we have the lure course for everyone to sign up their pets. So if anyone's listening here from Wisconsin and you want to, get involved, please check out puppyup.org.
Yeah, Ginger, where can people go to fight? They're in the Madison, Wisconsin, Milwaukee area. Would give the date. Cinco de Mayo. What's the link for people to go sign up?
The link is not live yet, but it will be by the time we're at the Pet Expo. But it's just go to puppyup.org and under events.
Okay.
It'll have all that in there. And
so
then
got the date, you got the venue, it's ready to go. Just okay. Just need to set it up. All right. Well, that's good.
That'll be up probably within the next week. So puppyup.org/events in Madison. And also, if you're in the Madison area, you probably have eaten at that great food vendor Patty's. And I'm telling you, that is like, I just wish they would come to Memphis. I was craving one of their burgers the other day, and I'm like, that's a long drive for a hamburger.
They're a wonderful little group. They are a wonderful little group. So yeah, we have some really good vendors, food vendors, and we have, coffee vendors, and we have the brewery, and so it's been really fun trying to get all these people to come together for a good cause.
We love Madison, Wisconsin. We built that town.
Yes,
and
you
it's
did.
our town.
Yes,
It's
you
our
did.
town. And it's a wonderful thing that I'm going to be ending Walk 4 in Madison to meet all the wonderful people that have changed that into just the great dog community it's become over the years since we've been doing our first Puppy Up Walk for many, many years now. We've been doing it. So thank you for that. Now, for people that are in your area, Karen, let them know where they can find out about Karen's Canine Pet Care, please. If somebody's in need for you to take care of their fuzzy butts, how can they find you?
Well, the majority of people I've been around for so long, they know me. I really don't advertise anymore because I have so many clients. So they just can call me on my, my number's on my Talk Dog to Me website,
Okay. So just go to Talk Dog to Me website. They'll be able to find you there. Excellent.
Yeah. People call me or email me.
Okay, call or email. Are you on social media?
I am. I have a Facebook page and I am on Instagram. But if they want to email me too, it's just Karen@talkdogtome.com. And I do answer pretty quickly. either email or phone calls. I get phone calls all the time about questions about their pets, so I'm used to always being on the phone, so yeah.
Well, you're very communicative, and I appreciate and passionate too. I love that you're so passionate about it. It's such an important. It's just it. I believe and not to belabor this, but what I would like to maybe have is we'll get Bailing Out Benji, Mindy on our show, and maybe afterwards we can talk about moving this forward, because I think now is the time. And I know there are some organizations working on this, and I don't know what progress they've made. Is that we've got to have some baseline federal laws that have the backing of the federal government and an federal enforcement agency, and more importantly, the federal budget, to really provide some basic fundamental rights to our companion animals. Unfortunately, it's so hard to translate that into food animals. I saw a really interesting. I disagree with so many things about what PETA does and their approach, but I understand at heart what they're trying to do. So of course I'm an advocate for that. But I saw a wonderful poster, a billboard they had that had a line of animals, starting with dogs, then cats, then chinchillas, ferrets, beavers, capybaras, and all the way down to horses, cows, chickens, and the whole thing was kind of like a whole line of. And the question was, where do you differentiate companion animal between food animal? And it's so powerful, because I don't even know anymore.
Very powerful.
I watch all these videos where cows are playing kickball with their parents, and little pigs playing kickball with Frenchies and stuff. It's this bizarre world that we now understand. Well, I've understood this for a while, but it seems like the whole world now is awakening to the fact that food animals are animals too. They're companion animals. They have spirits. They have interest, and
Feelings, they have feelings.
feelings,
That's the whole thing,
emotions,
you know?
absolutely, feelings and emotions. And there just needs to, we're getting to that point where we need to have some type of distinction, not only societally, but I think legally as well. So we'll keep working on that, Karen, on our front with Fuzzybutts.
Yeah, I think that's a big help, Luke, and I really look forward to this, and I will do whatever I can do on my end, because this is my passion. This is I want this to end. And when you made the comment about enforcing laws, I just wanted to say you are correct in that, because I've learned, because I've always said, oh, we should just pass laws. Well, that doesn't even matter, because if you don't have any money or anyone to enforce them, it doesn't matter what laws you pass. So I've learned that. So now I know that. And so now we have to focus on like all of our groups coming together, like you said. So I'm looking forward to this. This is the year, I think, this is my 60th year on Earth this year. I'll be 60. And I want to do as much as I possibly can to end this suffering. So
well, let's hope. Look, you sound good. You look good. And let's hope you have many, many more years of animal advocacy left in you, because there's a lot of work for us all to do to see this through. All right, Ginger, we've reached. Oh well, before I go, Karen, is there anything that you got a lot out? That's great. We love it. Is there anything else you want to leave our audience with before we stop?
I would just like to say to all the, pet parents and pet advocates and everyone, we all get tired. We all do so much. We're exhausted, but they need us. No matter what, we can do this. Please do whatever you possibly can to help a sick or injured animal, or any animal you see suffering. Say something, do something. That's what I always say. That's how I'd like to end this.
Yeah, I had a funny thought earlier, and I kind of want to get back to it because I thought it was kind of funny, and I like to leave things on a more of a humorous, comedic note, because especially when we talk about tough topics and issues like this. But it sure would be nice if we could get all those people that are blocking traffic, all those oil protesters, to go at the U.S. Congress and go into the Wisconsin Capitol and block legislation until they hear us. I don't know. Yep. Those people do nothing but block traffic, and they're not going to make a dent against the petroleum industry at all whatsoever. But it's a lot of people, and that's what it's going to take. It's going to take a lot of people who care and love companion animals, our animal mates on this earth, which we all live here together, and we all have a right to live, to be happy, to just need to clarify that. So thank you very much, Karen, for what you do. Please, to our audience, go check out her wonderful, wonderful merchandise at Talk Dog to Me. Pardon me, talkdogtome.com. Ginger, make sure I get the beanie. So when you guys do the Milwaukee Expo, please, I will pay you for it. I'll Venmo you. Just make sure I get one of your beanies. I will wear it.
I'll make sure she gets it before she leaves.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Ginger. Now, did we leave anything out this episode? Did I screw anything up like I'm often to do?
I don't think you screwed anything up. I think it was a great episode.
We did cover the weather, so we got that. Got the weather taken care of. So.
We got the weather taken care of, but I'm kind of going to go back a little bit to the weather because, you know, in January, the first of the year, a lot of people make New Year's resolutions and things that, like, Karen, you want to do as much as you can this year as you possibly can. A lot of people, you know, they want to exercise more or they want to lose weight. And you mentioned, you know, for people who adopt an animal from a shelter or rescue group, it's great because you have the animal, you need to walk them, so there's cardio. So for those people who made that New Year's resolution to lose weight, look at your dog. So let me just say, we have already been like snowed in here in Memphis since Sunday, right? And this is what, Thursday? So I haven't gotten very much exercise. My dogs haven't been exercised. And as we know, dogs who are overweight have a tendency to get certain types of cancers. So that's one of the things that if you've made your New Year's resolution that you need to lose weight, take a look at your dog and make sure that when you're out, you have that cardio going. Thank you for that, Karen.
Yeah.
And, you know, because let me tell you, when it warms up, I'm going to be out waddling down the street with Miss Kelly and Smiley because they're already on the waddling thing.
Yeah, I see lots of chunky dogs, chunky Frenchies, chunky pugs, chunky Pyrenees.
They need exercise too. It's like you know, and the thing is, we have places to go. Even in Wisconsin, you can go to Farm and Fleet stores with them. You can go. There's indoor facilities, so there's really no excuse why you can't take your dogs. You know, I know when it's really cold, we don't want their paws to freeze off and bleed and everything else. I get that, but there's a lot of other options.
Yeah, or load up on some Neopaws, wonderful Canadian company.
There you go. Yes.
Excellent booties for puppy dogs during the winter time and also during the summertime. So that's not like a commercial. We need to
You did sound like a commercial. Pretty good.
Yeah, we know all about Neopaws.
Yeah, I love that company. Love her to death. She's another female entrepreneur, woman, just successful entrepreneur, and another fellow dog lover as well. Well, Karen, thank you so much for everything you do. Thank you for being on this episode of Fuzzybutts and Friends and bringing awareness to such an important topic. We will certainly get back with Mindy and talk to some other organizations, and we'll see if we can somehow coordinate maybe another Fuzzybutts and Friends episode with multiple of you there and just start brainstorming. I mean, that's the best.
Oh my God.
I believe in doing it public. I believe in doing it public because if we do it, we have a show where we're brainstorming or we're coming up with ideas. There might be somebody in the audience that's watching or listening to the show, and then they'll contact us and say, hey, try this and stuff. And we might be able to solve this problem a lot faster. That's the power. So what hopefully with this podcast can accomplish what commercials can't, I believe. So, all right.
I hope so, Lucas. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Karen, for being on.
Thank you.
Fuzzybutts and Friends. All right, everybody. That's it for this episode. We try to drop Tuesday midnight, 12:01, I think. Eastern time every Tuesday. You can find us on our YouTube channel. That's fuzzybuttsstudios.com. Or you can find us on your podcast platform. That's like iHeartRadio or Spotify and some others as well. Until next week, puppy up. Talk soon.
Bye.
Hey, everybody.
Bye.